You look good.
Barak Yahuwah.
Barak Yahuwah Yahushah.
Call Tahalim Yahuwah. All praises to Yahuwah.
All praises. Yes, sir.
This is Watchman Yahshay Ben Yahshay with Spirit of Truth Ministries, Watchman Yahusha. Today, we bringing a message not only to the believers around the world, shout to the 12 tribes scattered abroad, and the goyim that have attached themselves to us, but we also bringing a message to the new believers, to those who come into the truth, just to understand who we are as Abram Yashalim, followers of YAHUAH YAHUSHA, the Savior of Yasharal. We coming up, kind of coming behind Akisha. He kicked it off last night, but you know what I'm saying, and that was the root, because it was a lot of the things that Yahuwah has placed upon my inner man to speak on, and that's what we going into. If you look at what the message says, it says our weapons of warfare are not carnal, and so we need to armor up. And with that being said, you know, as coming into this belief system, we're getting attacked on all sides, spiritually especially. That's why he says, I like to quote Apostle Shaul, or who they call Apostle Paul, because Apostle Paul knew the Torah. So when we see him saying things, he's saying things in regards to what the Torah actually is showing and what the Torah is actually referencing. So when he says our weapons of warfare are not carnal, we understand that this is a spiritual war. This is a spiritual battle. You know what I'm saying? Those it's kind of like that movie Fallen. If you ever seen that movie with Denzel Washington, where it was this demon that was traveling through people, and he was trying to catch this demon, but all the people that would attack him were humans. But it was actually a demon inside that was transferring himself into other people to destroy who Denzel Washington character is. That's what we doing when we fighting these people. We're not fighting flesh and blood. Our enemy is not flesh and blood. Our enemy is Ruh. You know what I'm saying? He's spirit. So before we get started, you know, I want to make sure, Jimmy, did you have something? Yaakov, you have something? Well, I want to make sure that we start this off in Palal and we go forward in the truth. Just expounding on, I'm showing you what the Brit Hashah says about the warnings of spiritual warfare, but we're going to look at the Torah about this happening too. So we're going to look into all the books and go forward. Nabi Yahuwah, you'll lead us in Abbas Palal.
Abinu, Shabashamin, Yakadu Shamka, Taba Malkuka, Yasha, Razunka, Ba'araz Ka Asha, Nasha, Bashamin, Tanlanu, Hayum, Laham, Hakanu, Usalak Lanu, Ashmatnu, Ka Asha, Salakim, Anaknu, La Asha, Ashmu Lanu, Ual Tabi, Anu, Lidi, Masa, Kai, Asi Lanu, Manharakai Laka. Amam laka, uhagabura, uhataparat, la lami, lami.
Our Father, who lives in heaven, Kadesh be your name. Your kingdom come, your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from the evil one. For yours is the kingdom and the power and the esteem forever. In the name of all names, YAHUAH YAHUSHA. Amanah. And I brought Yahuwah for just, man, this what the rule is revealing, what he's showing. One thing I want to touch on is that even in itself, with Abbas Palal, or what people call the Lord's Prayer, Satanism teaches that in order to do it, you have to reverse it. So in the book of the satanic book that Anton LaVey wrote, it actually has the Lord's Prayer in there, but backwards. You have to say it backwards. And why am I going here? Because what we see in Christianity, what we see in Islam, what we see in Judaism, what we see in Hinduism, those are all satanic religions. Now, it don't sit comfortable with us when we say Christianity is, because we all came out of Christianity. A lot of people we know left Christianity, but it's a satanic religion. Why do I say that? Because everything that Yahuwah gave as instructions, we do backwards. You know what I'm saying? The world say A backwards. You know what I'm saying? But that's what it is. Everything that we get, don't eat swine. Christianity says it's okay to eat swine. You get what I'm saying? Don't eat shellfish. Christianity says it's okay to eat shellfish. The Shabbat begins on a certain day. Christianity says no, it's Sunday.
Or any day.
Or any day. Or you can rest any day. Exactly. So everything that Yahuwah has commanded us to be obedient to, Christianity has introverted and turned upside down. Now I'm saying this for a reason, because what I'm finna show you and we finna go into is the first thing I want to touch on is the name JC. Because our weapons of warfare is not carnal. We left Christianity. So when we say we left Christianity, we just say it like we left the organization. Like, you know, we left you know, I can't think of no organization right now, you know what I'm saying? Any kind of organization you have, like a FMLA, you know what I'm saying, or FBLA, Future Business Leaders of America. We act like we just left an organization. But what we don't understand is we left a place where JC is Lord. That's a demon. You know, in ex-witches like Aki Sneevlin, there's many other that become leaders and teachers. They say that JC, the actual demon that's attached to that, is named Rege. And that demon Rege, when people come and they call on JC, that's the demon that actually answers. You get what I'm saying? And we know that because the name JC is only 500 years old. But the demon that's attached to that name is older. You get what I'm saying? He's been around longer. So what it is when these New Age teachers, there's a lot of New Age leaders and stuff, and I'll attach them to the link on this video so you can see what I'm talking about. When they get up and they preach to the people, one is a lady in particular, she'll call forth JC, and then he'll enter her, and she'll begin to say these things that's totally against Torah, totally against the book. Well, why am I saying that? When you leave Christianity, you have already one demon that's hunting for you because you left him. So people say, you know, well, I call on the name JC and I've seen things happen. I've seen, you know, healings in that name. I've seen miracles in that name. But just like calling on any demon, there's gifts given for when you conjure that demon. You get what I'm saying? These witches ain't just conjuring these demons just to conjure them out in woods. Whatever their names are, when they conjure them, you know, we see this on movies. We see the conjuring of a demon and then it switched to another scene. Well, what happens? Does that demon stay there? What's going on? As it says in the book, as in the days of Noah, so shall it be when the Son of Man returns. What does it happen? They were interacting with the sons of men. Go ahead, Doc.
And to expound on what you're saying about, you know, how people say that they've seen healings and miracles and same with JC, you know, you've said this before. You know, there are witches that have healing spells, that have spells that they use to get results. You know what I'm saying? So it's the same rock. You know what I'm saying? It's easy to see that it's the same rock.
It was a lady that we used to work with. She was her arm was hurting real bad one time, and she kept complaining about her arm. So it was this guy who used to work with us, and this guy wasn't nowhere near right, but he used to preach, go to different little churches and preach, and so anyway, he prayed for her, and she was like, "Oh, he healed my arm healed," but her leg started hurting. So the demon just shifted from her arm to her leg.
And see what we miss in the Brit Hadashah is when Yahusha talks about this woman. She was bent over, I believe, for like 18 years. She had this bent or hump in her back, and he literally says that Hashatan afflicted this woman. But so we don't understand, if Hashatan can afflict someone, he can remove the affliction. You get what I'm saying? If I afflict someone, I can remove the affliction. Why am I going there? Because people hold to JC so strong, and it's going into what I'm talking about. Is what I'm saying is this thing called Rege, this demon, has built a following under Christianity. Millions and billions of people are following in Christianity, believing that this Rege that's disguised itself as JC. We talked about this in Demon of Gaul, that he was already an origin. It's already an origin to him, but that new name, JC, is new. And that's what the book says. It says you serve Elohim that rose newly up. That was already back in Masha when he said they rose newly up. So if you leave that what I want you to understand is you already have one huge enemy. That Reg, JC, that demon. So people will leave Christianity and then wonder, man, why my life going so bad? Why is everything falling apart? Why is all this happening? But you've already challenged one demon. You've already challenged one. Now, not to count the witches we gonna touch on, not to count the just regular wicked people that we talking about, not to count family members who still serve this demon. You already challenged one power. And I'm finna show you that Shaul was speaking about this stuff even then, because that's what was happening. We see these Facebook memes and we share them, but we don't really look at the spiritual connotation behind them when we say, Christianos comes from Serapis Christianos. You get what I'm saying? Well, if it comes from this witch, Serapis Christianos, there's demons attached to it then. So when we try to get free from that, them demons ain't gonna just let you leave. And I want to show that it was a lady we knew. We went to perform at her church one time back when we was passing through Christianity, and she told us that she used to be a witch. And she said, I want to share something with you. She said, all my sisters are witches, every one of them. She said, I was a witch. And she said, I had powers, I had gifts from these demons. And she said, the last final thing I had to do to get extreme power was to sacrifice a crucified baby upside down, a 3-day baby, and drink its blood. And she said, I wouldn't do it. And so I ran from it. And she said, when I ran away from doing this ritual and left the witchcraft, she said, those demons came into my house and began to attack me and my children. Now, what's the difference when you leave Christianity? See, the thing about us, we don't want to just actually say that we were in Satanism. Yeah. Because all Satanism literally means is you are an adversary of Yahuwah. The word Hashatan means the adversary. And anytime you are walking contrary to his word, to him, you are Hashatanim, or the adversaries. When you ain't keeping his Torah, me and Aki Yaakov talked yesterday, you can have an all white room, all white robe, all white clothing, all white everything. Do all white candles. Make it look so beautiful in there. Trim it in gold and everything. But to Yahuwah, that's pig's blood. If you're not keeping his Torah, whatever rituals and whatever prayers, whatever things you're doing are against him. So we finna look at the book. Let's go to 2 Corinthians 10.
And real quick,
go ahead, Doc.
Do you mind? How is JC the demon of God and Reg at the same time?
I appreciate that. The reason why is this: demons go by multiple names. They love that. That's why people think, and I'm glad you brought that up. That's why people think that the name Yahuwah is unutterable. Like you can't mention his name, or he goes by many names. Or the way they present him is always different because they're referencing that from what they learned from demons. Demons can have multiple names at one time. Like I told you, the name of this demon is Reg, but also he answers to JC. So when he's Jesus as Isis of Gaul, because that's what they called him, Jesus or Isis of Gaul, how is this the same demon? Because when they conjure him up, it's the same characteristics of that demon. You get what I'm saying? And so what Christianity has done now is build a belief system around this demon that looks pretty. You get what I'm saying? But that's why pagans always argue that Christianity has adopted everything from them. Right. That's always the pagan argument. You've taken our holidays. You've taken our rites and our rituals. You've taken everything. Why are they saying that? Because they know that when they served him, it was Reg. But now you're calling him something else. But even though you've called him something else, he's still our demon. You get what I'm saying? But Yahuwah don't operate like that. And that's what they did. They took the name Yahusha, which means Yahuwah is salvation, and they began to try to transmorph it into JC. Why? Because they're used to taking entities from other nations and then morphing it into something else. So that's why they're so adamant that when I call on JC, it's the same as you calling on Yahusha, or if you call him Yeshua, or if you call him Chewy. That's not how Yahuwah works. You get what I'm saying? But they're taking the same understanding from how they dealt with demons and they're trying to attach it to Yahuwah. That's why you see the commandment, don't worship the Elohim of the heathens like you worship me. See, he gave that commandment. Devarim 12 or Deuteronomy 12. He says, like the other nations worship their mighty ones, don't you worship me like that. Let it not even be done in Yasharal that you worship them the same way. Why? Because he already knew that they were adopting different belief systems. You get what I'm saying? If they took a deity, they would adopt it and attach everything to it. And so go ahead.
He said, he also, where you can see that his name is important. One thing is that the enemy, Hashatan, he doesn't care what you call him.
Right.
Yahuwah cares what you call him.
Right.
And another place you can see that is where he says, don't call him the names of other
mighty ones.
So if names weren't that important to him, he wouldn't care about calling them other mighty ones' names.
Thank you. And see, that's exactly what the point is when we talk about the weapons of our warfare is not carnal. We are fighting against people who have said it's okay to call him whatever you want. Now, I've heard people say that it's okay to call Yahuwah many names. But if he goes by many names, that's Legion. Legion instantly said it goes by many names, and it was like 6,000 plus demons in this man. You get what I'm saying? So what we see is we're warring against people who are calling on a deity that's trying to hold his ground. Mm-hmm. You get what I'm saying? In order to take the house, you must do what? Bind the strong man. And so Yahuwah, man, he hit me hard with this one. I was like, man, that's something. That's why everything starts falling apart when you start saying, you know what, I'm gonna serve Yahuwah. That's why it says when you come back to Yahuwah, you must serve him 10 times more. Why? Because that fight is gonna be there from this demon that we see. I'm finna read what Shaul says. This is 2 Corinthians 10:1. Now I, Shaul, myself beseech you, by the meekness and gentleness of Mashiach, who is in the presence, I am base among you, but being absent, I am bold towards you. But I beseech you, that I may not be bold when I present with confidence, wherewith I think to be bold against some, which think us as if we walked according to the flesh. Mm-hmm. For though we walk in the flesh, mm-hmm. we do not war after the flesh. For the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but mighty through Yah, through the pulling down of strongholds. That's the warfare. I'm going to show you what he's talking about. Casting down imaginations. Remember back in Bereshit, it says the imagination of man was wicked and evil continually. Why? That imagination was being influenced by the fallen. It wasn't just man thinking up on these things. They were being influenced through dreams, like you said, through teachings, through visions. The first thing they did when they came down, they taught men, they taught sorcerers how to do sorcery. They were influencing the imagination of a man. And every high thing that exalts itself against the knowledge of Yah, and bringing into captivity every thought or every idea to the obedience of Mashiach, and having in a readiness to revenge all disobedience. Wow. You should be ready to revenge all disobedience. Why? Because when you come into the Mashiach, the first thing Mashiach taught us to do was what? Obey. Right. He humbled himself to obedience, even to the death of the tree. And it says to revenge all disobedience when your obedience is fulfilled. So when you be obedient, you revenge against disobedience. Come on, man. This man knew the book. Yeah. And they teach like Paul taught something totally different. But I'm going to show you where all this is coming from. Do you look on things after the outward appearance? Man. If any man trusts to himself that belongs to Mashiach, let him of himself think this again, that as he is redeemed of Mashiach, even so are we redeemed by Mashiach. For though I should boast somewhat more of our authority which Yahweh has given us for edification, and not for your destruction, I should not be ashamed, that I may not seem as if I would terrify you by letters. Wow. For his letters say they are weighty and powerful, but his bodily presence is weak, and by his speech contemptible. Let such one think this, that such as we are in word by letters when we are absent, such will we be also in deed when we are present. I ain't gonna keep reading all that. You can read the whole thing. But what he's saying is, in the understanding of this is, when you write to new believers, when we speak to new believers, the first thing we should subject them to is obedience. Right. So any new believers on here, what you're going to understand if you walk with us in this walk is the first thing we subject ourselves to is obedience to revenge all disobedience.
And
go ahead,
right after you said that, can I go ahead and put this in there?
Go ahead,
Say that what you just said one more time about the obedience to revenge disobedience.
The first thing we teach you is obedience to revenge all disobedience.
Baruch 4:28.
Go ahead,
For as it was in your mind to go astray from Yahuwah, so being returned, seek him 10 times more.
See there? So this is the thing. Why will we seem so hard? Like he said, to terrify in your letters. People think that we are so hard. The people who deal with us, and because we stick to scripts. Why? We are so hard because Yahuwah has a reward for us. Also, he has a punishment for those against him. So why are we so hard? We want you to reap the reward and not the punishment. So this is why this weapons of warfare is not carnal. It's to new believers. Go ahead, Op.
That's why you said obedience. I always talking about obedience. That's why that's a big weapon. Because that's the only way Yahuwah is with us. That's why he said. That's why he said that hell y'all cold, and I found no perversions in them. That's why no enchantments or divination would come against them at this time.
See,
because they was obedient.
Exactly.
As soon as we step outside of that realm and have some perverseness or some iniquity, that's when you're subject.
That's right. Come. And so that's what people don't understand. That's why we go against false doctrines. These doctrines that come up that's mentioned among the body. You get what I'm saying? We ain't got to name them all. You see them out there. But those doctrines that's mentioned among the body, we readily attack them. Why? Because through our obedience, that we ready to show you that we are subject to Yahuwah is for newcomers. Because watch this. If I'm sitting back and I just left Christianity, I already got the demon of Gaul attacking me. I already got him attacking me and coming at me. He's working on my mind anyway. You know what I'm saying? Yahuwah is not Yahusha. You need to leave the Brit Hadashah alone. You don't need that. All you need is Torah. All these teachings. And then people coming from another way saying zodiac signs is okay. You got all these attacks. Then here we come. Trying to tell you to let all that go and follow. Why? Because this is for the new believer. Because we're trying to protect the sheep. The ones that's coming in are babes. You get what I'm saying? Vulnerable. So, yeah, they're vulnerable to whatever doctrine coming. Every wind of doctrine. These people who sitting in this thing, teaching this foolishness, they ain't even trying to walk in the Torah. You get what I'm saying? They ain't trying to keep Torah. These witches that we battle, these witches are Christian witches. How do I know that? Because all these witches, they already know they walking in wickedness against the Torah. They're not trying to grow. They didn't transition from Christianity to the Hebrew belief or the Abram belief. They're not transitioning. They've been in that for a minute. So what they try to do is inch poison a piece at a time. They don't just jump out there with wickedness. That's why according to Ellie Walsh said that she know people who've been on their Torah page sharing Torah for years. And then next thing you know, it switch up. And it's talking about witchcraft and different occult teachings. Why? Because they trying to draw people in to thinking they of the book. So that when they get Torah in there, and then they mix it and they mingle it, Torah, and then they mix it and mingle it with script, and then they take the scripture and then they flip it with witchcraft, people gonna say, wait a second. That don't seem right to me, but they may know more book to me. Right. See the trap? Sound good, yeah. It's the little foxes that destroy the vine. So as watchmen and teachers of the book and protectors of the body, that's what we call to be. To look out for one another. To love the brotherhood. We are commanded to do that. As protectors of the brotherhood, we must be aggressive. That's why he said, though my letters terrify you. Why? Because Shaul was aggressive. Deliver such a one to Satan. He didn't play with them. Why are we being aggressive? Because now the warfare is not carnal. Just like we see them warring in the book, it was still spiritual back then. We're going to look at that. Even though they were fighting other nations, those nations were being powered by other deities. Let's look at this, man. Let's go to Ephesians 5:1 first. I want to say that all who walk with us in the belief, I want to say I love y'all, man. And to connect with all those who are with us, because those who are not with us, they will show their fruits if they are Yahuwah or not. You get what I'm saying? We got people all around the world that say the same thing we say. They walk the same walk we walk. But you have to be understanding that you got people all around the world too that share about witchcraft and sorcery. That is okay in the book. You get what I'm saying? We got people who teach that the Torah is voodoo. Masha did magic and did witchcraft, and that's nowhere in the book. Go ahead, Op.
Yeah, it made me think about, that script where it say, forever learning, never coming into the knowledge of the truth. So you got a lot of people that's constantly learning things. They might hear this truth and basically reject it because they, because they steady learning, but never coming into this knowledge of the truth.
They prefer their own understanding, above the understanding of Yahweh.
And that's why Aki Yaakov, the half-brother Mashiach, said, I don't think that you should have many teachers among you. That's why the warning came, because if you opening your plate up at every table, you ain't going to get the same doctrine. You're just not going to do it.
What I was going to say is one of the biggest things, and one of the, about Masha, everybody, I keep seeing that people keep saying that our heritage has always been voodoo and witchcraft and all of this stuff. When you look at Masha, when he was doing anything that he did, when he stuck his hand into his bosom and it came out leprous, who did that? Did Masha do that?
The obeying of the commandments did that.
And so
the commandment of Yahweh did that.
Everything he did was because Yahuwah told him. Yeah. Everybody who's practicing and doing voodoo are doing it for their own gain. Yahuwah did it to show and show everybody who he was.
Right.
Those people are doing it for their own power, for their own benefit, so that they can reap the benefits of it.
The book of the Abram Yahusha, or who they call Josephus, said this, and I love this part. He said, if Masha put his own hand in his bosom and pulled out and it became leprous, if he did it out of his own workings, why would he write an entire chapter about leprosy? He would have never judged himself as a leper if he was a leper already. What is that saying? He's saying by the commandment of Yahuwah, he put his hand in and it became leprous. So by the same commandment of Yahuwah, he gives an instruction on how to deal with lepers. So everything we see by Masha throwing down his staff and it becoming a Nahash or a serpent. And then Aharon throwing down a staff and it becomes a Tanim or a dragon or a river monster. If we see him doing this, it was always by commandment. So he can turn right back around and give you a commandment of not to do witchcraft. You see that? So people look at it and say, well, Masha did witchcraft. Masha did sorcery. That's not what you're seeing in that book. You have a demon deceiving you.
That's right. That's not witchcraft.
That's not witchcraft or sorcery. Because by the commandment, Yahuwah was showing that he was mightier than the Elohim that they worship in Mitzrayim. Everything he done, he said, I'm doing this against the deities of Mitzrayim and setting it as judgment against them. That's book. So what we seeing is he was fighting against spirits and principalities. That's what I'm finna show you. What Shaul understand. That's the warfare. Whenever you look at the book of Maasim, or the book of Acts, we call it, every time you see a sorcerer appear, guess what? It's in opposition against the truth, the Basora. Them sharing about YAHUAH YAHUSHA, that's the only time when you see a sorcerer mentioned or appear, he's coming against them in the book. He's always on attack. Every time we see it, like with the woman who had the power of divination that she can fortune tell. When Shaul got annoyed by it, because that's what it was. He was kind of a little man that didn't like too much annoyance, because it said that. He got annoyed by it. He cast out this spirit of divination. The two masters over the girl attacked him. They got upset, and then the whole city came out against him. Why? Because he attacked the spirit. It was the spirit that was annoying him. And what was that spirit doing? Warning people. These men are of Yahuwah. These men are of Yahuwah. So watch this. Be ye therefore followers of Yahuwah as dear children, and walk in love, as Hamashiach also has loved us, and has given himself for us an offering and a sacrifice to Yahuwah for a sweet smelling savor. Now I want to say this too, because people teach that believing in the Mashiach is not the atonement for the crime. I had a discussion with a brother. He said he didn't believe that it was for atonement. It wasn't for atonement, because the atonement was to Azazel. We see that. It went directly to a fallen. When Moshenim did it and Aharon did it in Leviticus 16, why did the Mashiach come as a Passover lamb? It was to bring us out of where? Misraim. It was to bring us out of bondage. So when you come out of bondage, then you can be atoned for. So he jumped something. He jumped what he thought it was instead of going back to the original reason why the Mashiach came. His whole reason is to remove us from the principalities and evils and spirits that have us bound. That's why it says he put to open shame those powers. It was instantly, when he did the work, it was to pull us from witchcraft. When you come out of Christianity and you wake up to this, you instantly come out of darkness into light. Because you thought at that time it was okay to eat pork, as long as I pray over it. It's okay to do whatever I want to do, and it's cool. As a Christian, I watch horror movies. How many Christians you know watch horror movies? A lot. They're not offended by any works of darkness, because they feel like what it is. My righteousness lies within me through JC. He's done all the work. I ain't got to do anything. That's the wicked and lazy servant that's referenced. So when you instantly leave that and come into this truth, you begin to have a different appearance and an understanding of things that you see. What you used to see as acceptable, now it ain't acceptable. How many times now you don't walk through and you seen somebody cooking pork and you're like, man, that smells awful.
Maybe sick.
See? Why? Because your mind has changed now. That's repentance. It's a renewing of the mind. Even though you used to eat it, it becomes disgusting to you. That takes a ruach to do that. You didn't do it on your own. You get what I'm saying? And now, things that we used to do, we don't do them no more. See, Christians like to say that, but they still doing the same thing. But the things you used to do, you don't do them no more. Why? Because there's a renewal of the mind. That rule is now changing your conscience to good works.
We don't have to do a separate, whole separate.
Go ahead.
On that, on the things you used to do. You don't do
right.
More. Because the problem with religion, the problem with Christianity, is that the things you used to do, you don't do no more. A lot of those things that you used to do, some of those things weren't even against Torah in the first place.
Right.
So the whole issue of the things you used to do don't do no more is that they're still not referencing what Yahuwah says to do.
Exactly.
So as long as we're not referencing
there
what he
you go.
says to do, you can change all kind of stuff in your life. As a matter of fact, some things you change don't even have to be changed.
That's that filthy rag. That's self-righteousness.
That's that self-righteousness.
And that exactly what you're touching on is the new age, JC, that I'm talking about. It's a health, wealth, and wellness teaching. That's why you can pull up Joel Osteen and he's preaching against pork. And he's preaching against shellfish. And somebody said they don't understand how could he preach against pork and shellfish if he's such a humble and non-aggressive preacher. I said because it lines up with a good life now. You can't have your best life now if you sick as a dog.
Right. High blood pressure.
Right. And so he taking, because people have come to him, and I know they have, that my doctor says this is bad for my health. So now I got to do a defense teaching. You get what I'm saying? Because people are listening to their doctor over the Torah Yahuwah. We already know that. My doctor told me not to eat pork. You get what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So what we seeing and what we have to understand is that new age teaching now is a wellness thing. That's why yoga has been put in. Because exercise, they don't know they tapping into a devil or a serpent root. They don't understand that they tapping into an evil spirit. They think that it's for wellness. The downward dog and all that foolishness they doing. Those things are opening doorways into your root. You get what I'm saying? So this is right here is what you said. I don't do this, I don't do that, even in Christianity. But if you're not obeying the Torah, you're a Satanist. And that's where it gets, oh no, because I didn't do that. You get what I'm saying? That's like you said, Yahuwah Your righteousness is as filthy rags. Because you're defending instead of saying, you know what? I was against Yahuwah at all points. And that's why we see pastors who know this truth that won't stand up and say they were wrong. Why? Because if you say that you are of the priesthood, because you taking the tithe, so you actually saying that you are the Levitical priesthood. The first thing you're supposed to do is atone for your own crime first, and then atone for the people. Those pastors don't want to stand up and say we've been wrong for 30 years. We've been wrong for 35 years. We've been walking in wickedness all these years. They don't want to stand up and say that because they're going to have to admit at some point that they were wrong for all these years in order to get the people on track. But instead they say, you know what? We just going to keep doing this and we'll implement some of the Hebrew as we go. That ain't what Yahuwah said. Right. He says you must love me with your whole heart, with all your mind and all your might. Now, if he wants everything, you cannot keep pieces of things. You have to have it all. So here we go. But fornication and all uncleanness or covetousness, let it not once be named among you as becomes the Kadashim, neither filthiness, nor foolish talking, nor jesting, which are not convenient, but rather the giving of thanks. For you know this, that no whoremonger, no unclean person, no covetous man, who is an idolater, has any inheritance of the kingdom of Mashiach and of Yahuwah, same person. Let no man deceive you with vain words, for because these things come the wrath of Yah upon the children of disobedience. Look what keeps being brought up. Be not you therefore partakers with them, for ye were in time past in darkness. When you were a Christian, you were in time past in darkness. When you were in Islam, you were in time past in darkness. Judaism, time past. And I don't care what Abrahamic belief system you say you had. You were in darkness. And when we see Hebrews trying to merge Islam with the truth, and trying to merge Christianity with the truth, and trying to merge Judaism with the truth, they're still in darkness.
Yeah, because even that is kind of like deceiving, isn't it? Because there's only one Abrahamic faith. Mm-hmm. Those aren't even Abrahamic faith systems. You know, it's
there
like
you go.
That's another there one of
the
little tricks. You know what I'm saying? Because
Mm-hmm.
you even have even black so-called conscious people that come against the Hebrew. They even use that Abrahamic faith,
right?
As
they want to
those
tie
religions.
it in.
Yeah,
They just want to tie it in because of the land, the bloodline.
Now here's the kicker. Them demons know that, and that's what I'm gonna show you. Deepak Chopra. Deepak Chopra is one of the New Age teachers that's on Oprah. He has a book called Finding God, and it talks about how Abraham, Buddha, Muhammad, and all these other ones, Taoism, and all these people, Zoroastrianism, all these different leaders found the same person, the same deity, which is supposed to be Yahuwah, but their understanding and interpretation was different. So he's saying, don't judge these different religions. All y'all come together and you can serve the same one in different ways. See, that's the trick. That's the trick. And that trick is trying to leak into the Abram Yasharim and the true believers of the Mashiach. That trick is the same thing. Oh, yeah, I might believe in tarot cards. You don't have to, but we serve the same one as long as we call on the same name. Or as long as you believe in this way. It's okay for you to do that. That's why a lot of people who are in witchcraft and the occult workings inside Hebrew belief system, they accept everything. Yeah. You can bring them whatever you want to. They're not going to argue with it. Why? Because they want you to accept the kicker, the straight disobedience against Yahuwah. So when you bring them something, they ain't going to correct you on it. They ain't going to say nothing because they want you to continue to rock with them. So that's why we must what? Fulfill our obedience by revenging disobedience. Whenever we hear something that's not booked, we're supposed to instantly speak on that. We're not supposed to keep walking with a person and we know they're against the book. Right. That's not what Yahuwah ever said to do. So here we go. So be ye not partakers with them, for you were in time past darkness, but you are ye light now. But now you are light in Yahuwah. Walk as children of light, for the fruit of the root is in all goodness and righteousness and truth. Not one separate from another. Right. All of them have to go. That's one fruit he just mentioned. All that fruit is in goodness and righteousness and in truth. And proving what is acceptable unto who?
Yeah.
No, you.
Yeah.
You.
Yeah.
See? What's acceptable unto Yah. Not what I'm comfortable with.
Right.
Because I hear people last time say, I'm still comfortable with using the name JC.
Right.
No, that ain't what Yahuwah said though. He says he has one name. And those who call on that name may be saved. So if he gave you a name and he gave that to our ancestors, we can't do another name. We're calling him a liar. Unless you can show me a script that says, I will come and I will change my name so that other nations will make it more palatable to them and they can accept me. No. If you can show me that in the book, I'll stop teaching.
We can't find that one. I can't find that one, but I can find where he says that somebody will come in my name.
See?
Will come, saying, masquerading as me, basically. Saying? You can find that.
Right.
And we all know who that is, you feel me? So,
exactly.
So, yeah.
That's why, when he gives instructions, he always say sometime before he gives the instruction, like say for instance, in Yovelim, when he talk about Shabbat, he said, do not err in the ways of your heart. Do not err in your heart. Don't let your mind tell you something else. I done wrote it out.
Come on,
clearly, what's gonna please me. So don't try to rationalize your thinking into my mind with evil. You know what I'm saying? So that's why he said, proving all things unto Yah.
Unto Yah. If it's not his word, you better throw it away. Don't rationalize this stuff, because rationalizing it allows the little foxes to destroy the vine. Yes. You're going to let something in that's not of Yahuwah. Now watch what he says right after that. And have no fellowship with the unfruitful works of darkness, but rather expose them. For it is a shame to even speak of those things which are done of them in secret. You know that word secret? Occult.
Wow.
Hidden. Occult. That's your secret. He knows that these people were bewitching people. That's why you hear in Galatians, foolish Galatians, who have bewitched you. Right. He knew it was the workings of Hashatan in witchcraft. That's why the first thing that people want to do when they come in here and say, get rid of the Brit Hadashah, get rid of the New Testament. Don't even believe in it. It's false. Why? Because if you take away this part, you won't understand the instructions that these teachers were giving you of how to follow the Torah. Right. Because it didn't break down any guidelines. You get what I'm saying? It didn't break down any guidelines. It just told you what not to do. Right. But now, these people who kept Torah, this man studied under Gamaliel. He studied under Gamaliel. If he studied under them, then he's giving you the guidelines of how to operate in the Torah. You know what I'm saying? He ain't just writing this for his own good. He trying to strengthen the brothers. That's why he writes Apostle Shaul to the Akim, to the brethren in this city. To the brethren. Why is he trying to strengthen them? Because every city has a regent. We're going to talk about that in a second. Every city has a stronghold demon that's sitting in that city to block it. I know Gaston got one. Because it's so hard to reach people there. It's so hard to get to people there. I know these cities got different regions because they had them back then. The Colossians were in the city of, guess what? Colossus. That's a deity. You get what I'm saying? Ephesus means daughter of Zeus. Guess who the deity was? Diana. There was a deity there. So when you see Acts 19, what did they start? They say, we hear Apostle Shaul preaching to the people, changing them over to Yahuwah. They start screaming, great is Diana of the Ephesians. Wow. This book. And then when they see the miracles of Yahuwah and the 7 sons of Sceva get attacked because they trying to be exorcists because they don't really know the Torah or the name. They get attacked. It says that the word of Yahuwah prevailed mightily from that, and they burned all their occult workings. The curious arts of books, they burned them. That's why people want to get rid of these things. Because it shows that believers back then burned the ancient text that they had that was against Yahuwah. those regions in the city were worshiped. That's why you hear in Pergamum, Yahusha calls Antipas his faithful martyr that was killed where Satan's throne is. What happened to Antipas? Go look up the history. It says that demons came to the people and said there was a man here preaching the good news. Kill him. And they said they put him in a bull, a molten bull, a golden calf, and they roasted him alive. Now it's recorded in Revelations that he was a loyal martyr. He took death for Yahuwah. When you look at the story, guess what? That's the birthplace of the Olympics. You get what I'm saying? So we're not fighting people. We're fighting the strongholds that's in the city that's got these people and will do anything to defend it. They don't want to lose that stronghold. In order to take the house, you must first find a strong man. Come on, man. I'm finna show y'all something, man. Barak Yahuwah. Man, this is all his word. But all things are exposed and made manifest by the light. For whatsoever does make manifest is light. Wherefore he says, awake you that sleep. Everybody talking about they woke. Let's finish this sentence. Everybody always screaming they woke. Awake you that sleep. That means you woke, right?
All right.
Here's another instruction. Arise from the dead. Now he told you let the dead bury the dead. And Hamashiach will give you light. So it ain't just enough to be woke then.
Right.
Woke, Erica Badu is woke. She a woke witch.
Dead.
She know what time it is. And she's still dead. And she has no light in her because she has no Mashiach. So while everybody hollering they so woke, the woke is just the first stage of it. Huh? Can these dry bones live? Listen to this. Everybody uses that. He told them to prophesy to those bones. So in order to watch this, to speak to those dead bones, you have to wake them up first.
Right.
In order to give them the rest of it, that the muscle and the sinew and all that builds back on, you have to wake it up first. When he told Al-Azar, or who they call Lazarus, he said he's not dead. He's not dead, but he sleeps. Therefore, when he calls him, it's going to wake him up. See there? That's book. So don't try to twist it just because you say I'm woke, and now you got a few natty locks in your head. now you're just walking around. But then now being woke, you can be led into all kind of darkness. You can be woke up and never cut the light on in your house and stumble all over the place.
Woke to darkness.
But then he said to wake, arise from the dead. That's resurrection. Where do you get that resurrection of life from? Immersion. Immersion. It's the sign of dying and coming up. A new creature. So you arise and then the Mashiach can fill you. What light? The Ruh. The light of his Torah. The instruction of Yahuwah is the light unto our paths. So if you ain't got all three and you just woke, I'm not impressed. Now you just a rope zombie walking in darkness.
A motivational speaker.
And see, and see that you walk circumspectly. That circumspectly means you watching your surroundings.
Right.
You're guarding yourself. Now when you're in the light, you need to guard your surroundings. See, I'm giving this instruction to the new believers because when we came into this, we just came into it thinking everybody waking up is trying to walk righteous. Nope. We were wrong. I was wrong. I'm telling you, I was wrong. And I fell for some okie dokes. Never again now. Because now I'm walking circumspectly. Watch this. Not as fools, but as wise. Why does he say be wise as serpents, but harmless as doves? Because you need to know the workings of the serpents. And when I say know it, I ain't talking about reading no occult book to know it either. You need to be wise as them, knowing how to maneuver away from serpents. People who handle snakes, they'll tell you how they move around snakes. You can't just do everything. No sudden moves. You don't want to bring attention to them and scare them. That's when most people get bit. So when you walking and operating around snakes, sometimes you have to just watch. Sometimes you have to just be effectively watching and able to operate the way they operate.
Know how to deal with them.
Like Diddy said, show you how to move in a room full of vultures. That's a hard line from, and he didn't write it, so I can say that. That's a hard line. I show you how to move in a room full of vultures. Because if they at you, you need to know how to operate. And be harmless though, as doves. What's the most harmless thing you can give somebody? Love. Love don't kill anybody. But love brings correction. See what I'm saying? If you're harmless, if I love you, I'm not going to let you run in that street and kill yourself. I'm not going to let you die. If I know that you're working the workings of Hashatan, I'm going to bring you the truth in love. And if you reject it, then now you ain't even a brother. You are of the wicked. When are we going to shake the dust off? You know what I'm saying? When are we going to say, you know what, we're not dealing with you anymore? And now you become an enemy to Yahuwah. And the warfare now is against the regions you deal with. Watch this. Redeeming the time, because the days are evil. Wherefore you be not unwise, but understanding what the will of Yah is. Come on, man. Everything is not the will of Yahuwah. You got to know what the will of Yah is. This man understood that. And we can look at all this. And I'll read this and then I'm going to go, because I'm going somewhere with this. And be not drunk with wine, wherein in excess. He didn't tell you not to drink wine. Be not drunk with wine. Yaim. But be filled with the Ruh. Now, if you want to be full of something, be full of the Spirit. Man, speaking to yourselves in psalms and hymns and spiritual songs, singing and making melody in your heart to who? Yahuwah. Giving thanks always for all things unto Yahuwah and for the Father in the name of our Adonai Yahusha HaMashiach, submitting yourselves one to another. Huh? Where the generals at? What generals? You fake camps? Submitting yourself one to another in the fear of Yahuwah. So if you fear Yahuwah, I'm submitted to you to follow you and what the rule leads you to do. I'm not following you as a man. I'm following the rule in you that's in me that confirms we both following Yahuwah.
And esteem him higher than yourself.
Thank you. Thank you. Man, bro. Come on. Women, submit yourselves unto your own men as unto Yahweh. For the man, and that's kapah. He said the same thing. They don't talk no different because it's the rule. Submitting yourself to your own men. That's what we seen not happening in the Christian church. Pastor was above all men, even the husband. They did not submit themselves to their own men. Man, bro.
Subverting the household.
Boy. That joker. So watch this. And here we go. I love this. For the man is the head of the woman, even as Hamashiach is the head of the called out assembly. He is the savior of the body. Therefore, as the called out assembly is subject unto the Mashiach, so let the woman be their own to their own men in everything. Be subject. This is where people think the head covering come in at. But if you look in context before you even get to the other books, this is Ephesians. When you read Corinthians, that when he says a woman should not walk around with her head uncovered, he's talking about her subjection to the authority that's under Yahuwah. That's why he says for the sake of the angels. Why? How were they able to come down and sleep with women? Because the men were in their own foolishness and folly. See what I'm saying? So if you, to reverse it, revenging all disobedience, you got to obey the book in order to subject your woman to Yahuwah. Not just listening to you, that you're the head of the house, but submitting yourself to Yahuwah.
That's right.
That's why they don't want this, man. They don't want this. Good stuff. Men, love your women. Wow.
Oh, love your women. There you go.
That's why they threw the book out. They don't want this one. Men, love your women as Hamashiach also loved the call out assembly. He loved you. Why can't you love her? Man, bro.
Why you do that?
And gave himself for it.
Yes, sir.
Boy.
That means that there's a sacrifice involved with loving your spouse.
Thank you.
You know, so this action that comes behind that. People don't do that. I hear so much on the book. I mean, not on the book, but on YouTube. A lot of these camps, you know what I'm saying? They forsake their home ministry, talking about I ain't gonna, you know, I don't want to spend time with my kids or spend time with my wife. You know what I'm saying? They treat their wives like garbage. Like what are you doing? That's not a book.
Come on, Art. Come on, Art.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
I seen a general in one of these camps said, call her a B until she's tired of it.
I saw it.
Wear the B word out until she's subject. Until she's tired of it.
Because you can't hit her.
See?
Because you can't hit her. So
you heard the same thing, right?
Wow.
Now, what do you do with this right here? When did Yahusha do us like that?
Never.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? He guides us along. Go ahead, huh?
That's another example of us being a fatherless community.
There you go.
Because what father is going to give his daughter to that type of man?
There you go.
And these men got women.
There you go.
The same ones talking this garbage have wives.
Thank you.
Women's,
oh yeah, the women were defending it.
And
go ahead, Steph.
agreeing with it. Like, I mean, why would you want?
Yeah, they say he was a righteous man.
What kind of father is going to give? Because the fathers aren't there.
Yeah,
the ones that are there were not righteous.
You know what this is?
They ain't talking right.
I'm gonna tell you what this is in our generation, because there's no fathers, because of the structure of this government had destroyed the fatherhood. We see that. There's no obert fathers. There's none really, for real. You know, there's some. You get what I'm saying? It's trying to make the effort. I'll give you that. But as the majority of our people, there's no. Yeah, there's very few and far between total. And so this is why I'm telling you, this is prophetic pimping. This is all it is. It's prophetic pimping. You know that woman don't have nowhere to go, don't have nobody to run to, so you can do whatever you want to do. You get what I'm saying? That's called prophetic pimping. That's all it is. Because what you're doing, you're taking scriptures. I hate when people use this one. A shamefaced woman is asked to Yahuwah as a dog. A shamefaced woman. But to Yahuwah, all people are dogs, not just women. Matter of fact, that word dog in the Abrit, it just means impure man or impudent man. So you just want to call this woman a B. Right. Because you find it an occasion to do it by twisting the script. See, man, we got to be careful about this stuff and how we operate, because this is why I say that. New believers who come in, they watching us. And they watching to see which one of us is really wanting to walk this walk for real. You get what I'm saying? Everybody's not going to be deceived by these fools. And everybody's not going to come to the truth. But they're watching to see which one is really trying to walk in what Yahuwah called us to do. You get what I'm saying? That's when I say we war good warfare. We got to war this warfare understanding how to maneuver in war. There is no army on earth that don't know how to fight. They training. You get what I'm saying? They ain't just throwing rocks like they show on TV. Right. That's not happening. Those are civilians. The real warriors over there got choppers, grenade launchers,
and the tactical.
There you go. And you got to be careful moving through where they at. Right. So we got to be like that when we guard our people too. People shouldn't be able to just walk up on us. Right. They should be cautious in how they approach Yahshua. Right. See? That's right. They shouldn't be able to just come up to us and throw us any doctrine and we accept it. We eat it right then. Huh? You think you can walk up to people over there and just hand them something? No, they're gonna check it out.
And you know what?
I'm just.
And you have to, and that's one thing. Sometimes I have to apologize. Sometimes I've had to apologize for maybe saying things or reacting in the flesh.
Right.
But at the same time, we have to understand that just because things make people uncomfortable doesn't necessarily mean it's the flesh. Right. Because one thing I have learned is that a lot of times you really have to check people quickly or they will be a problem for you forever. Right. If you don't check them quickly, it's going to be a reoccurring thing. That's right. And especially when you're dealing with, I remember I had one Goyim lady who sent me a friend request. I accepted the friend request. And then she started coming on all my posts. And then she started really showing her true colors. She started talking about she's a mother and stuff. I'm like, you're not a mother. Who you a mother to that don't know you? Mm. And she was just being really overbearing. And you find that you'll have people like that in real life, but especially on social media, because you can hide on social media. Right. And they will take over they will start being the distraction and totally taking you away from what Yahuwah has you trying to do, because you always have to address them. Because there's always something. Sometimes you just have to cut stuff. Look, you need to go somewhere else. You need to do something, but you need to leave this alone because this right here don't have nothing to do with you. sometimes you have to be like that with people so they can get the picture and they can leave you alone. Otherwise, you're gonna be dealing with stuff forever.
What I was gonna say is one of the things that I've noticed is that you have such a militant set of men on Facebook or in the Aubrey walk. You are Hebrew. I'm gonna say Hebrew because not Aubrey. But you have such a militant set of men who they hate women so much that the women are developing a feminism. And you notice that the women are developing feminism, and that's driving them deeper. Now, it's not an excuse because they still wrong for the witchcraft that they are in. Right. But it's driving them and pushing them towards witchcraft because they want to be, they don't want to be subservient to the men. They want to be above them because, or at least have some type of power because the men are putting them down so hard that they don't want to be to that place where they pushing it. And a lot of things, and a big thing is that we growing up, true enough, we are in the West and we're not supposed to be the way that we are. But fact of the matter is we are. We are here and we all have to learn the right way. But to get somebody to submit to you, you don't berate them, you don't dog them out, you don't go at them hard. Right. How you get somebody to submit to you is you are nice to them. And that makes them want to submit to you. But the way these men are doing it is you see a lot of men attacking the women, and because they're attacking so hard, the women are, okay, well, you know what, women's rights, women are goddesses and all of this stuff, and they saying all of this stuff, and then next thing you know, you see a lot of these women who when they first came in wanting to submit, or not necessarily wanting to submit, but wanting to be righteous women going the whole opposite way because the men are coming at them so hard. Shut up, you're not supposed to speak. I'm like, where is that in the world? We got women who spoke. Right. Now, am I supposed to be over my husband? No, of course not. I'm supposed to be subjected to him. I'm supposed to be up under him. However, Sarah had a voice. Right. And so we should still have a voice. And because they're not allowing these women to have a voice, and anytime they say something, shut up, you're supposed to be quiet. You're supposed to, why are you talking? And that's not the way it's supposed to be. And because they're doing it, they're causing a lot of women to run the opposite way. And we're missing the key thing. Go ahead, Mark.
And then to add on to what she was saying, the scriptures that they are using to prove that women need to be subjected and to hush and to not say anything, they're only giving like half of it, and they're not even going to all the scriptures, and they're disacknowledging the other points of it.
There were feminine, female generals in scripture, you know what I'm saying, leadership, like I think a one-letter army, I believe, at some point.
Deborah. Yeah, she was a judge. Right. Yeah. So, this is what we're missing. He says to subject yourself and love your woman as Mashiach loved you. Right. And when has Mashiach ever been so harsh on us and hard on us? Right. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot of times we deserve death. And he wasn't harsh and hard on us. He guided us to this. His rule is gentle.
Like you said, he maneuvered right. He was wise.
Yeah.
We have to be wise on how we correct this too.
Exactly.
That's very true. Yeah, because there has to be a balance.
Yeah.
Because I think every person in this room can attest to where Mashiach was not gentle with you when you continued in rebellion.
There you go.
Yahusha and Yahuwah cut his whole people off because of rebellion. Matter of fact, I'm careful of saying this because I don't want people to run with it, but Yahuwah beat his wife.
Well, yeah.
Well, yeah, he put it in captivity.
I mean, he did.
Well, he allowed other men to beat her.
Right. Let's put it.
No. Let's take that.
We don't want to empower those.
I'm gonna fix that real smooth. What he did was, since you want to lay with other men, I let the other men beat you.
Exactly.
He didn't beat his wife. He said, since you want to go a whoring, I won't protect you when other men beat you.
Men get you. But we still have to. It still goes back to he's the one that allowed it, right?
Right. He allows it. That's what I'm saying. If you're whoring puts you in a position of a whorehouse to where a pimp beats you and I don't come save you. I'm not unjust. You are. That's the context. Right. Yeah. And that's why it says every nation we fell subject to the attacks because Yahuwah allowed it to be so.
So we have in a situation outside of obedience,
it's going to get you.
It's going to result in a bad situation.
Right.
No matter who, if the man's at fault or the woman's at fault, if y'all both are in disobedience, what you expect?
Exactly.
Things like that will arise. And so to be driven to whatever you're driven to,
that's it.
That's still out of the lust of your own flesh.
That's right.
Because you're disobedient.
That's right. Go ahead. You had something to say?
No.
Okay. I want to say this too. Also, we got to understand that all ruach, all spirits are controlled and in subjection to Yahuwah, even evil ones. So if you go outside the covenant and that spirit presents you to him and say, look, I have authority over him because of what he did. Yahuwah says, okay.
Right.
See,
that's right.
It's spiritual. That's what we have to bring this back to. And how I know that is, I'm going to tell you, I've seen mine. Because the book of Hanuk says that every man is assigned a spirit to him because they come from women. They come from humans. So because they come from humans, every person in here has one. And I've seen mine. He wants to bring me to the pit. That's his whole job. But it's because I'm walking in the book and walking to Yahuwah and his commandments, he can't touch me. But he wants to now. Right. So he's waiting for any open door. And he's going to bring open doors. So this is what we see in the story of Yahusha. I believe it's in Yeshayahu or Isaiah when it says that his garments were all messed up. Yahusha, the son of Nun. Husha, the one who followed Masha, who took over, taking the children of Yasharal into the promised land. It says that his garments were torn and unclean. His garments, and Hashatan brought him to Yahuwah and said, look, and he was accusing him. And Yahuwah looked at him and said, wash yourself up, clean your garments and be made clean. Right. See what I'm saying? Yeah. So we see this champion even being accused by Aru. This is spiritual. Yeah. You get what I'm saying? Yeah. And so when we say that Yahuwah allowed his wife to be beaten, it's because he has time and time again said, come to me. Right. And she time and time again went a whoring. You get what I'm saying? So Yahuwah will not always come after you in your wickedness. Right.
Zechariah 3 was what you're talking
about. Torah. Zechariah, Zechariah 3. That's what that is. And you'll see about Yahusha, Torah. He's seen him. Now, how can he see this ancient man? That's not even the same date. But the Spirit shows you things when it's time for you to see him and reveal. And so let's look at this, Torah. Man, boy, this thing is so good, but I got so much. But he said that he loved it and gave himself for it. 26, that he might sanctify and cleanse it with the washing of water by the word.
2 Corinthians 9.
No, we're in Ephesians 26.
Ephesians 5:26.
5:26. Ephesians 5:26. That he may cleanse it by the washing of water by the word. Come on, man. The Torah cleanses you. Look at Psalms, I believe it's 119. It says, how can a young man cleanse his way? By adhering to the Torah of Yahweh. Right. Come on, man. This word cleanses you. Mm-hmm. Every time you read it, you feel different. You feel different. That's why I believe that there's a rule associated and attached to make you sleepy so you won't read this word.
I believe that too.
It'll make you sleepy. Because he don't want you to read. Right. Because if it's washing, this is cleansing you. I need to do something to stop you. Yeah. Subtly. Hashatan came subtly to Hawaii. So it's got to be a subtle thing I do to make you don't want this word.
That's our job. He ain't no magical something. You know what I'm saying? It's our job to wash ourselves with the word. That's our job. That's on us. If we don't do that, then we just dead in the game.
And my child is real big on that, man. Before we go to sleep, she's like, baby, can you wash me in the word? I love that. It's an honor to do that for her. It's an honor to do that for her. Because if I'm washing you in the word, I'm reading the word to you, I'm growing. A lot of times I still be at it, she be knocked out. And I'm researching. God, no, I ain't right there. I said, baby, you hit it? But that's an honor for me to bathe her in the word. That's the washing. Bathe our children. We open our book up and our children every night and read this book to them. They need to bathe themselves. And if we too tired to stay up because we don't work, we say read amongst yourselves. Study amongst yourselves. This is a washing process.
You're right. When you do that, you gain so much yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know how much. He's beginning to speak to you while you in the midst of just reading the word.
That's it.
Like, man, this is the understanding of that.
Mm-hmm.
So that is the joy.
And we gotta love it. And see how much time I'm glad you shared that we got that in Christianity. We didn't get that because we didn't even want to open this book. We didn't want to read this word.
I got a family full of preachers. Of preachers. We have never got together for dinner and sat down and opened up the door one time.
Mm-hmm.
I'm 38 years old.
Look at that. Man, that's crazy.
Yeah, I was gonna say like what you said in the Christian church. After you get baptized, they kind of say, you say what's next? What do I do now? And they tell you just keep coming to church.
See,
you see what I'm saying? Instead of okay, now you gotta get into that book and keep some commandments, be obedient.
There you
never
go,
hear that.
There you go.
So you hear come to church,
right? And see, that's the whole thing. In this, if you look at, and I love this because this is who starts showing me who we were as a people. When you talk about the eunuch from Kandaki, or who they call Candace, that was headed up the Gaza Strip. So when Philip baptized him, after he baptized him, he was translated and taken away. Why? Because he was already headed to the temple to hear the Torah. It says it in there just like that. He was already going to learn the Torah. So the work had been done for him to immerse him in the name of Mashiach. Take him away. Now you already got the Torah. Begin to apply that even more so.
I was gonna say, in Christianity, we are not taught to keep the commandments, but it's weird because they have a set of commandments or a set of rules that you're supposed to
that they
keep.
Comfortable with.
Yeah, but you're not supposed to keep it. Even Occulty had on her page the other day. She had about the laws, and there was somebody who came on her page to try to debate it, and they were speaking in circles. It didn't make sense. They were saying pretty much that you're not supposed to keep the law because the law is bondage. But then they were saying that you're supposed to keep. What are you saying?
Right.
Because what you're saying does not make any sense. Because either we're supposed to keep them or we're not. And they were saying, well, if you try to keep them, then you putting a bondage on yourself. And I'm like, you're misquoting scripture because what he's saying pretty much in James is, for one thing, but he didn't quote this one, but still a lot of people use this one, is that it says that if you want to do one of the law, then if you fail in that aspect, then you're guilty of the whole thing. What he's saying is you can't sit up here and pick and choose which law you're going to keep. Because if I sit up here and I pick one piece and I fail at something else, then I'm guilty of the whole law. Yeah. What I'm supposed to do is pick up that whole thing and try to keep the whole thing, everything that pertains to me.
And that's why Yaakov, or who they call James, called it the royal law.
Exactly.
He called it the royal law. They don't even mention that part.
No, but they kept telling her to read Hebrews 10, which is funny. And I'm like, read Hebrews 10. If you read Hebrews 10, that right there to tell you to keep the law.
That's indigestion and heartburn. That's gas and indigestion. That's what the pastor told me. A fiery indignation is a Taco Bell fart.
Man, that was so funny to me.
Golly. So what we see is, when I'm talking about in the spiritual and warring in the spirit, even reading this Torah is spiritual. The law is spiritual. So when you read it, and life, and when it's doing something to your root, that's why it says the word of Yahuwah is living and powerful, sharper than any two-edged sword. It's doing surgery, is what that verse is saying. It's cutting into your joints and marrows. He's doing surgery, and whatever that's not supposed to be there, that word is removed.
That's it. It's sweet to the taste, but bitter to
Come on, I got a verse, man. You know, a rap version like that. But it's sweet to the taste and bitter to the belly. Why? When you eat the whole roll, because to you it's great, but that flesh don't want to keep it. That flesh does not. It feels agitated. That's why when you bring this correction to a person, it's an agitation to them. They'll tell you, you know what? I know you telling the truth, but I just don't like what you're saying to me.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? Because that flesh is designed to reject. Why? Because it's a flesh of disobedience coming from Adam. Your bloodline is a bloodline of disobedience, whether we like it or not. But now the rebirth, the being born from above or being born again, is now birthing yourself into a babe of obedience now. Barak Yahuwah. Man, this is too, man. So, man, it's a washing with water by the word twin said, I ain't not where I want to get. But man, this rule. That he might present it to himself a esteemed call out assembly. He's trying to pull you to him. He's trying to bring you to him. And if we don't believe this, what are we doing? He's trying to bring you to him. Watch this though. Not having spot or wrinkle or any such thing, but that we should be kadosh and without blemish, clean when we come to him. So ought men to love their women as their own bodies,
there it is.
as their own selves. I don't hear camps teaching this.
You don't call yourself a bitch.
No, you ain't gonna call yourself a B. I ain't seen nobody look in the mirror and say B. That too short version. That too short has perfected the B word. I've never heard a person use the B word like too short. He need to copyright it because he has perfected it. Golly. And you ain't never called yourself a B. You ain't never beat yourself. When you put a whooping on yourself? You see what I'm saying? So you love your women as your own mind. That's why they don't like Shaul. I'm going to tell you why. Because he's telling you how to maneuver as a Torah keeper in Yahusha. Now that you've been saved, in the sense, from all your ways and walking towards salvation of the promise of endurance, now let's keep the Torah. I'm showing you how to keep the Torah. That's what he's telling you. Now watch this. For no man has ever yet hated his own flesh. See there? You know how I know you don't hate your flesh? Because it's so hard to fast. Your body do not want to stop eating. Soon as you say I'm a fast, everything sounds delicious.
And people bring your stuff out of nowhere.
Man, out of nowhere. It's rule attached to all this stuff. And no man hates himself. See, look at this. Watch this. Watch this, man. But nourishes and cherishes his own flesh. You know you groom yourself. Make yourself look good.
Well, except for me.
You groom yourself. I see the line over there. You groom yourself. I was looking at your nails while you were teaching. I said, that man got some nice nails for a truck driver.
Man, I just now cut them.
See that? But you groom yourself then. I exposed that boy.
Been like 2 months.
I said, look at that guy. You groom and cherish yourself.
You have them long for real. I see them long.
I said, that man.
I tell you,
a manicure.
I hugged him about last week. He said, man, you didn't cut your nails, Dad.
Wow.
Scratching back.
Wow, man. But it says, even as Hamashiach, the called out assembly. You say something about, you got something about?
Yeah, you want to say that out loud?
So man cherishes it, even as Mashiach, the called out assembly. You are cherished by Mashiach. When you come in here, you are a cherished vessel. You're not just nobody in this. Nobody should be treated like that.
Right. Nobody.
So when we come in, we should greet everyone in here. There is not one person greater than another in this assembly. We should all greet each other the same. We are all nourished and cherished vessels to Yahusha. So how am I treat you any kind of way, How am I gonna do that? If I treat you any kind of way, boy, I love it now. This is Goyim Ashkenazi Jew Goyim stuff, but I like it. If I commit crime against the Son, I commit crime against the Father. That's how it should be. If I do anything against you, I've committed crime against Yahuwah. So I need to walk as if I cherish you. So watch this. For we are members of his body, of his flesh, and of his bones. For this cause shall a man leave his father and mother, and shall be joined unto his Ashah, or his woman, and they become, or wife, and they become, the two shall be one flesh. Why is he talking about that? Because this is a marriage thing. We come into this, we are under covenant with Yahusha. You see that? Yeah, crazy. Hey man, y'all awful, man. These guys in here awful. If y'all see, I've been watching too many videos. They throwing money down like Creflo and them on here, man. They crazy. And this is a great mystery. Pay attention to this right here. And man, this rule, man. Pay attention. This is a great mystery. But I speak concerning to Hamashiach and the called out assembly. Why is he saying it's a mystery? Watch this. You are married to Mashiach, but you're still a virgin. It doesn't get consummated until he gets you.
Wow.
That's the mystery. You are chaste virgins unto Yahuwah, but you married to him. But it doesn't get consummated until he comes to get us. See there? All right. That's your mystery. But I speak concerning the Hamashiach and the called out assembly. That's why he said what he said. Nevertheless, let every one of you in particular so love his woman, even as himself, and the woman see that she reverence her man. That's why you ain't supposed to be calling people reverend, such and such.
Right.
The reverence should be to your man. You get what I'm saying? Love and reverence should operate in that household at all points. And that's the great mystery. Man, that great mystery right there. So
can I
go ahead,
real quick? This is Tobit. Yeah, this is a precept.
Come on.
It's going to go back to something else you already taught on. And probably that, you know, it is what it is. Tobit 7. And it says, verse 10. No, verse 9. So he communicated the matter with Ragel, and Ragel said to Tobias, eat and drink and make merry. This is about to be a marriage happening.
Mm-hmm.
For it is meet that thou shouldest marry my daughter. Nevertheless, I will declare unto thee the truth.
Come on.
I have given my daughter in marriage to 7 men.
Come on.
Who died that night they came into her. Nevertheless, for the present, be merry. But Tobias said, I will eat nothing here till we agree and swear one to another. Ragu said, then take her from henceforth according to the manner, for thou art her cousin, and she is thine, and the merciful Yahuwah give you good success in all things. And let me just say this real quick. The reason why she married the 7 men is because there was a ruach, there was an evil spirit that wanted that woman. Every time a man came into her,
spiritual warfare.
To try to consummate.
He was a hater.
He would kill her. But notice it said that she was married to 7 men.
And still a virgin.
So they were married before the sex.
Come on. They were married before the sex. And it was a rule, a spirit that was coming against her marriages. Look at that. This is spiritual warfare. Total art for that. Because it lines up with what we're talking about. It's warfare. So it was a spirit that wanted that woman for himself.
Yep.
Come on now.
Wow.
He wanted that woman for himself. That's why he killed her. Why he didn't kill her dad?
That's right.
Why he didn't kill her mom? He wanted that woman for himself. So he was, man, watch this. So he was waiting till the environment get good so he can get her.
Right.
And that stuff
come on, bro.
Get even better now. I told me he was walking in obedience, or why he didn't get killed.
Come on now.
And there's we have to go there too.
We're gonna have to go live on that sober.
Because see, they talk about that witchcraft and all that stuff, but the angel told him to do something specific
instruction
to get away.
Yeah.
That was an instruction.
There's a great point. The angel.
That was an instruction.
Exactly. His name was Azariyahu, helpers of Yahuwah. In that story, the angel told him to take cod liver and the gall and burn it. To run on ashes, and to run off that evil spirit. That is not witchcraft, because that instruction came from Yahuwah on high through an angel to that person. Because we know that Noah even had a book of medicines on how to cure his sons when they followed evil spirits and read the wall and read the walls in the cave.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? So don't twist scripture and act like witchcraft is okay when Yahuwah is showing you by the text how to operate.
Right.
And what I love about this is when we wrestle against spirits, there's always help from Yahuwah. This is my point that I want to make, and I'm glad that came up. Every time we wrestle against these spirits, there's always help from Yahuwah when you're walking in obedience. Right. Like you said, Tobit walked in obedience unto Yahweh. When you are righteous before Yahuwah, you will always receive the help you need. You don't need to go to no psychic. You don't need to go to no witch doctor. Right. And he told you what to do. And it's and all that foolishness. Them pagans made that song. You ain't got to ask no witch doctor. You get what I'm saying? All you do is consult Yahweh, and he will give you the breakdown of how to handle what you need. So new believer, I'm going to tell you this. If you feel like you are being oppressed by witchcraft, first thing I tell you to do, and I tell anybody this, they can attest to this. Anybody who asks me about witchcraft, go to Yahuwah and ask him to reveal what workings is being done to you. Reveal that Yahuwah expose who's doing the workings. Yahuwah will hear you. He will hear you because he is against those who work witchcraft. He will expose them. He will literally tell you exactly who it is because his power is real. Also, I want to say this. When we broke down right here that sex is not marriage, why do we walk through that with new believers? Sex is not marriage. Because I want you to know this, because people use that to say Miriam and Joseph, because it says they were espoused, they were married. And it's to take away the deification of Mashiach Yahusha. Right. You get what I'm saying? That's why they argue that.
It's because not only the mean being married, but they were engaged, am I right?
Right. They espoused. She still belongs to him. Yeah, back then, there was no switching around and breaking the divorce and stuff like that. I mean, breaking the engagement. It was none of that. It was, if you're espoused, you're espoused. You get what I'm saying? It is marriage. It's already, and what happens is in that espousal, there's a feast, then there's a consummation. That's why it says, and he knew her not until the Mashiach was born. That's why we see that. Because there's always marriage feasts. Now, why I know that? Because we're having marriage feasts right now. That's why Yahuwah tells you he'll cast those out of the feast. That marriage feast that Yahusha used is also, I believe, in Zechariah. Wow. That marriage feast, the exact feast, while the people not having their garments, if you can find that for me, and I'll give them that. But it's also in Zechariah that it says Yahuwah the king had a great feast, and the people who were not dressed for the feast were cast out. Right. That's literally what Yahusha quoted.
Before you go there, were you gonna finish reading?
Go ahead, finish reading
okay,
Tobit.
But if you're gonna finish reading Tobit, then I go there.
Man, this is a good table meeting. I want to have one of these.
So you were talking about the feast. You were talking about the wedding feast and everything.
Yeah.
And then we have the Torah, which is the wedding covenant writing.
Come on.
Now look at this.
Come on, the Ketubim.
The Ketubah.
Yeah.
So verse 13. No, 13. Then he called his daughter Sarah, and she came to her father and took her by the hand and gave her to be wife to Tobias, saying, behold, take her after the Torah of Masha, and lead her away to thy father, and he blessed them. Listen to this. And he called Edna his wife, and took paper, and did write an instrument of covenants, and sealed it.
Yeah. Okay, he throws a book up. I mean, that's it.
Then they began to eat.
Right, because it's a vow and a covenant. Watch this. That same sealing is why we're sealed in Yahuwah right now. When we accept him, that vow we've made is to follow Yahuwah, and this Torah is our ketubim of how to follow him. The commandments that he wants his wife to obey. You see that? Now this is book. Go ahead, Steph. You got it?
I'm looking. I think it's 14, but I'm looking still.
Yeah, I believe it's 14. But when you get it, just let me know. I'll finish this right here. This is 6. And we going into this. And what I want you to write down, because we may not, for the sake of time, we won't get to them. But I want you to see that Yahuwah fights for those. They don't even have to fight battles. 2 Chronicles 20 is about the story of Yahushaphat. Yahushaphat means Yahuwah is my judge, by the way. I love that name. And he fought for them. They went in a fast. They zoomed for one day. He fought for them. And in that zoom and in that fast, the children of Moab and children of Ammon came against them, and Yahuwah confounded them to fight against each other. And it was 3 days worth of spoils they were able to pull back without not laying one sword or one arrow. He fought for them. You can read it. 2 Chronicles 20. Yashar 88, Jasher 88, and Yahusha 7, and Yahusha 6, 17 through 18 talks about the accursed things that Akun or Achan, they call him in the King James Bible, how he brought in the accursed things, and Yahuwah would not fight for Yasharal at the battle of Ai, or what they call Ai. He would not fight for Yasharal because he brought in the Babylonian garments and the gold of the accursed things, and Yahuwah would not go to war for them. So there's times that he will fight for you in righteousness, and when enemies come against you in spirits, and then there's times that he will not fight for you because you are doing something against his Torah where he cannot lift up a standard for you.
That's right.
So you have to evaluate yourself first. Get up off your face. There is crime in the camp.
That's what he told him.
Stop whining. You know.
What you talking to me for?
Huh? And he told Akun, he told Achan, he told him this. Tell that you have the accursed things and give a sting to Yahweh. And he knows about it.
And he called him son too.
He sure did.
Right before he killed him.
So, and then also Luke 14, 25 through 34 talks about counting up the cost if you want to follow Yahusha or not. You got to count this up. This ain't a jump into thing. This ain't just splash where you jump with your legs up into some water and it's just all good and dandy. There's warfare over here. You have challenged demons that's in your life. You have challenged them and said, I don't want to deal with you anymore. I want to follow the King of all living. And what you have done, you need to count up the cost if you have enough strength to go to war. It's the warfare, because this is what it is. If you're going to follow Yahuwah, you need to know that there's warfare with this. You got Zephaniah?
Nope.
Okay, I got a little battery. I don't know if y'all got a charger, but we finna close this out. And here I want this to ride right here. Android.
Before you
go ahead.
Let me share this. You said it was time when I opened myself. The goodness of Yahuwah, he still defended me. Me and Jimmy was talking yesterday about some sounds. So I brought up this beat. I was telling him I wanna make this certain type of song, and I want it upbeat. So I asked him, have you ever listened to Young Jeezy? And he was like, yeah, I used to listen to Young Jeezy all the time. So I said, my brother put me up on this song. You remember the song? It was the intro of one of his songs called Welcome Back. It was a real crunk song. So anyway, he said, I ain't never heard that one. So I said, well, you look for it or this or that, blah, blah. I said, matter of fact, I'll look for it and I'll try to find it. So I began to try to look for the instrumental to Welcome Back. So 2 times I played it, just a little piece of it. And it started coming back, and I'm looking at his photo, and on his photo, he looking a certain type of way or whatnot, and that beat is just driving it. And his the few words that he had, I'm listening to it, right? So I couldn't find an instrumental yesterday. So I wind up falling asleep. And just by listening to the judge, I say about 15 seconds, 20 seconds of that song, Welcome Back. I don't know if y'all remember the song, but anyway. Yeah. Them dang on thing was pulling on me. Wow. Just kept on pulling on me. I'm like, God. I finally came out and I said, I can't even listen to the instrumental. So I texted him, I said, man, don't try to find it, don't try to look for it, I ain't gonna send it to you. But I opened myself up to that. So I began to pull all of whatnot, and I prayed to Yahuwah and I asked him, don't hit, because ain't I do. So when I went back to sleep, it was over with. But I became subjected to that. Totally. You know what I mean? It's witchcraft. Yeah. You know what I mean? So I want to share that.
And that's because, too, you're a Nabi. But I want to say this, too, that what Yahuwah shows, he shows us and he warns us as loving children. He allowed that without them destroying you. He just allowed you to show you the effects of that. Now, I'm going to show you this because we've taught that with this music, they've taken those things into covens and they pray spirits on these CDs. We talked about that. They pray spirits, so if they praying spirits on the master, they praying on the instrumental too, because you got to get the instrumental mastered for the clarity of the track. So what you're seeing is we have to be careful, and so we have to walk circumspectly. That's what it is. And I appreciate you sharing that testimony.
When I was dirty, that didn't happen. But now that I'm clean, I can't do that.
But right, man. And
so what happened? You just wasn't aware.
It was a spanking.
Now you keen in on it and you know what it's doing, but the warning of the people.
Or trying to pull them back.
Like you said, we was trapped. That's why it was so hard. Like you said, when we were coming up here, we were so hard. We was trapped in there. We couldn't pull away.
But see, let me tell you why they wasn't attacking in. Because like you said, I do agree with you about being clean. Because there was no reason to attack when you already serving them. Right. You already feeding yourself with them. You feeding yourself with those rules. That's the reward again. That's what we talking about, JC. They were rewarding you. They were giving you that high you wanted. They were giving you that drunkenness you wanted. Because they were rewarding you for seeking them. See, this is the law of the Shemayim. So when we go and we sit with these demons, they reward people. I'm telling you, people like conjuring these demons out through the fire and just stand there. They're giving these people some benefits. Matter of fact, about the Easters of God story that I always share, Julius Caesar said that he could not beat these people as long as they did rituals and sacrifices of eating human flesh to the East of God. He fought for them. They would take on the blood and rituals, and these things would fight people. That's why America always brags about how great they are. They serve a powerful region. They serve a powerful demon, and that demon fights for America. Why? Because Amaruka means land of the feathered serpent. You can look it up, or I can put it in the link. So that thing fights for them. That's why they feel like they're such a superpower. That's why homosexuality is increasing. Witchcraft is increasing. You got a freaking statue, a transgender. It's ma'am. It's a transgender in New York. That's a dude. The Statue of Freedom is a dude. That is a dude. That is soul invictus. It's ma'am. It's ma'am. That is a dude. And that's why when the president takes his vow, he stands between the obelisk and another part of that place as a ritual to summon demons into him as a leader of this country. So people got to be careful when they say pray for these leaders. You may be praying against Yahuwah. And I'm going to tell you something. I want to be clear. And I want to agree on this. Yahuwah does allow kings and leaders to rise up. That's the book of Hanuk. He gives them their kingdom. But he's doing it that in the day of judgment, he can judge them and say, you know what? You didn't give that kingdom back to me. Right. See? So in agreement, two ways, he allows the kingdom to come to you. But then when you don't give it back, he can punish you for it. That's also to Halim or Psalms 2.
He killed somebody who didn't give him the esteem.
That's Herod. He killed King Herod. Told her, you know that book. He ate him up with worms because he did not give the esteem to Yahuwah. They were saying, great is King Herod, the power. It was given all exaltation to Herod. And it says, because he did not give the esteem back to Yahuwah, worms ate him right there in his throne.
Moshe didn't see the promised land because he didn't give the esteem to Yahuwah.
There you go. So even on our end, it's the same thing. Man, these people know the book in here. I love this conversation. So with that being said, this region that we have, and I'm going to read Ephesians 6 to let you see this power that we have in America. This power is defending itself. It ain't the people. As long as they remain wicked, it's defending them. But if they try to clean themselves up, guess what's going to happen? An attack going to happen. Right. You get what I'm saying? So what you saying, you cleanse yourself up. You trying to walk Kadesh. You walk in Kadesh in Yahuwah. And those Ru knew it. They attacked you. Why? Because they seen an open door to attack. Any other time, they're afraid of you. You have authority by Yahuwah. So that authority is given from Yahuwah. They are afraid of us. They come subject. When Moshe and Harun, when they walked into Misraim or Egypt, when they walked in, those Ru, they came subject. I'm going to tell you why I know that. Those two lions that guarded the gate with armor on, they begin to leap like puppies. You don't think that those that armor and gold was dedicated to another deity? Those lions could have even been worshipped as deities. But when they came into Mitzrayim, they came subject to them. Every spirit is, and every soul, the book says, and every power is subject to the higher power. So let's read this. This is Ephesians 6. Children, obey your parents in Yahuwah, for this is right. He gave you who to obey. If you don't obey your parents in Yahuwah, you are challenging him. You're not challenging them. Come on, man.
You gonna get you out?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Doc. Go ahead, Doc.
Keep on talking, man.
Go ahead. I'm listening.
A lot of people, Yahuwah raising us up. A lot of people may think that since my mom or my dad ain't in the walk or in the covenant with me, that you can just throw them away. Mm-hmm. You still have to honor your father and your mom. That's right. My mom texted me like 2 days ago. I can't talk scripture with her because she's a Jehovah's Witness. So, they have their belief and they king on their belief. It ain't like they don't know scripture, because they do is just twist it, they belief. Mm-hmm. So it's a way that they think it's right. It seems right to them. But anyway, so I can't talk book with her, but I still, so that kind of draws a wedge between us. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? But I still love her. But anyway, she texted me and she was like, can you come wash my car? She just told me to come cut down a forest, which I did a few months back. So I gotta go cut down a forest again. But she was like, can you come wash my car? And I was sitting there in my own zone. So I was like, can you just bring it down here at 3 o'clock and I'll wash it. You know what I mean? And I'm kind of iffy, because of her belief and my belief. It draws a wedge between us, and that's what it has done it. But I still love her, yeah. But so I told her bring it down at 3 p.m. and I'll wash it. And messed around, I fell asleep. Yahuwah threw me down up a house like that, and I hit the ground. He didn't throw me down hard, but I was tossed down. And I looked over and I was looking at my mom's house. But it wasn't no gentle put down. I hit the ground like I was tossed down. So I said, dog it. So I tested back or whatever. I'll be up there after I get my son. Wow. And I went on up there and I washed her car. See? And I brought her car back to my house and I took it back to her. Yeah, for Sunday.
And I want to show this though. And see, this is what we missed right here. Obey your parents in Yahuwah. It didn't say honor your parents in Yahuwah. Honoring is what he just did. But obeying is, now you need to come to Sunday service with your whole witness with me. See, it's a different. Mm-hmm. That honor, he told his mom he'll do it, so Yahuwah corrected him on it. You get what I'm saying? But see, that's why it says obey your parents in Yahuwah, not honor your parents in Yahuwah. Because you got to honor all your parents, whether they in Torah or not. You got to honor them. Yeah. But the obedience to the children is obeying the parents in Yahuwah, for this is right. Honor. Then he says honor. See the context. Honor your father and your mother, which is the first commandment with promise, that it may be well with you, and you may live long on Haaretz, or the earth. We wonder why these teenage children, why all these children are getting killed out here. There's no honor for the parents. There's no honor. And it says, and ye fathers, look at this. We don't talk about this one. Ye fathers, provoke not your children to wrath. Now we'll say that means don't be so angry with them that it provokes them to wrath. But watch what it says. Provoke them not to wrath. That's the wrath of Yahuwah.
That's right.
Let me finish it. But bring them up in the nurture and admonition of Yahuwah. So provoke them not to wrath ain't saying, hey, go clean your room. Oh, you're so harsh. I want to shoot everybody in the house. Like Goyim do.
Yeah.
I'm just being honest. And it's leaking into our people, which is sad. Very bad. Because it was 2 girls who killed their mother the other day. And I posted on my page. That's wickedness. And because the iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold. But it's provoking your children to wrath, to provoke them to receive Yahuwah's wrath. That's why he starts it off, obey your parents in Yahuwah. So if your parent is teaching you to be disobedient to Yahuwah, you are provoking them. You are pushing them into the wrath of Yahuwah.
That's right. I'm not teaching them that at all.
Come on.
I'm not teaching that at all.
Come on.
So I provoke all the children in my house now until Yahweh will give me an opportunity to reestablish that communication.
Right.
I didn't teach them that. So that's all me.
Yeah. Watch this. Servants, be obedient to them that are your masters according to the flesh. Now he's speaking to slaves. But we know back then the slaves were not treated like we were in this fierce constant, not counting this nation that did whatever they wanted to do. We can see that with Al-Azar and Abraham. He had a sonship. So watch this. With fear and trembling in the singleness of your heart as who Mashiach. So he's not even speaking to all slaves. He's speaking to slaves in the Mashiach.
Right. Because
Boy,
isn't there Torah that says that if you I have to go back and look at that. I thought there was Torah that said if you found someone that was escaped, that you're not supposed to send them back. I have to go look at that. Sure.
Yeah.
I thought I saw that, bro.
Yeah. I think I've seen that too.
Yeah.
But see, the slaves, right? The slaves in the Mashiach are being commanded to obey their master with fear and trembling. Right. And then he speaks, man, watch this. And not with eye service as men pleasers, but as servants of Mashiach, doing the will of Yahuwah from the heart. So don't just act like you're a good servant in front of men when they see you, but do it unto Mashiach. Now watch this. This is not the same slavery that we endured here.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? Because a righteous slave and a righteous master is not going to produce the foolishness we seen that went on with our people. We can see that with Abraham. We can see that with Gehazi. Those people were treated very well. Yeah. They were treated well. Even Al-Azar got the sonship. As a son, he got gifts. When he sent Ishmael off, he sent him off with gifts and his sons with rewards.
That's right.
That's good.
Opportunity to lead.
Come on now.
And on top of that, when you're reading back through our history and even through and some of these books really go into detail, like
man, this is good
stuff. Some of those kings treat our people good.
Right.
Kings treat our people really. Some of those same kingdoms where they were being impressioned, depending on what king rose up later. Yeah. Some of those kings treated them.
Get down there, y'all. And all the Hebrew boys we call them, they were treated very well. They was always promoted and everything. They wasn't treated bad.
Yahuwah wasn't against those kings at that time. He was against them when they started oppressing our people.
That's right.
We are in that slavery now.
That's right. That's right.
Still in that same slavery.
That's right.
And also, some folks is promoted.
Right. And see, also another thing you gotta understand: if a slave did not want to leave, he got a board in his ear.
Right.
He was a board in his ear. If he did not want to leave and stay, there was a symbol of earring to show that he was. That's bull. Ain't that something? That was the release. We never got no release here.
So I wonder, even if that word slave is probably a mistranslation.
It's servant. You know, the word servant is abad.
Okay.
Like Abad Yahu is a servant of Yahuwah. Yeah. You serve. Because like she said, 7 years you free.
Right. So
it was a servitude. That's where we get an indentured servant from. Yeah. And the Irish were indentured servants. And they like to use that against. They were the same as people.
The Irish were slaves. The Irish were slaves oppressed. Like us. Then where were the no Irish water fountains?
There you go.
Where were
Come on, let's put it out there. Where were y'all listening?
Where were the no Irish Jim Crow laws?
Come on. Come on. They were not oppressed like us.
For Irish people.
And any Irish person or anybody of Irish descent say that, I know that they're not walking in the truth.
Yeah.
And they're not in truth, because Irish were not oppressed like we were. Now, they had problems because they were foreigners, because this country has always had problems with foreigners. Even though they the foreigners, they always had problems with foreigners. But watch this. That's the spirit of Sodom.
Ooh, that's right.
That's the same spirit of Sodom. That's why we got gays and walls coming up at the same time. See what I'm saying? That's the spirit of Sodom. Sodom had problems with foreigners.
Hate it.
They were not righteous because they would kill foreigners. They would torture foreigners. They would have beds. They would leave a person hungry in, and you better not feed that person. You better let them waste away. When Lot's daughter was killed because she was feeding, they were waiting to see, and this guy's still fat. What's going on? And once they found her feeding them, they burned her at the stake. America's the same way. You trying to build up this wall shows that you have the spirit of Sodom in you. With all the gayness, with all the don't help the homeless, with all the everything you see, it's the same spirit of Sodom and Gomorrah. So that's what I'm talking about, spiritual warfare. These move. They move and they set up regions. They set up kingdoms. They have people under them. We've seen that the fallen were generals and prefects of 20s and 10s and 50s. So when you might be, these people conjuring something, they may be just conjuring a lieutenant. They may not be conjuring the true general. They have an order just like Yahuwah's kingdom has an order. And that's why he was telling you, be careful not to speak against these deities and these principalities, because you don't even know what you're fighting against. Right. You have to come to Yahuwah. That's why I want to make it clear, when the Christians taught you, rebuke you in the name of JC, that's foolishness. You cannot rebuke any demon. What you say is YAHUAH Ga'ar, which means Yahuwah rebuke you. Correct. Yahuwah does the rebuking. You're just coming to the king for the king to handle it. You don't handle it yourself. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah. That was in Yahshay. I think that was the book of Yahshay when who was that? He rebuked it himself. Mm-hmm. Then he corrected himself and said, Yahuwah rebuked.
Yeah, I think that's Abraham did that. Yeah, I think it was Abraham that did that. And so that's what we see. When I rebuke you in the name of JC, that don't work. You get what I'm saying? Because that all that is doing is agitating that demon and making him maneuver. It's a comedian, Shouty. He crazy. I'm gonna tell the story because I just think it's funny. He said while he was driving, he used to watch his sister all the time. He said before he got in the car, he used to watch his sister all the time. He said the dog came up to attack him. He said his sister said, "I rebuke you in the name of JC." He said the dog ran off. He said, "Man," say he hit his little blunt. Man, ain't that something? That worked. He said again something happened. The car, him and his sister was in the car. She said, "I rebuke you in the name of JC." So the car stopped and started driving straight. He said, "Man, I can do that too." So he was riding, drinking, blowing some good, playing Tupac. He said the cop got behind him. Said the cop pulled him over, the cop got behind him, jumped out, said, "Son, you need to get out of the car. You drunk, Hamilton, take you to jail." He said, "I rebuke you in the name of JC." He said, "Son, you can pray on the way to jail. Get on out of the car." That story's just funny, man. It's kind of stupid. But what I'm saying is, when you rebuke spirits, you don't do nothing but agitate them. That's why Catholic priests see people vomit and all that stuff. It's an agitation of that spirit. They're not tearing the body. They ain't leaving the body. They just agitate it, and you see the vomiting and all those things. When Yahusha did it, they left. All he said was go. Sometimes they reason with him. Don't send us in a far country. Let us go into the swine. They reason with him, and he says, "Okay, go. Believe this man." He had authority. We have to get that same authority back, but we can't get that authority if we still dabbling with the doctrines of devils. Right. If we playing with tarot cards and zodiac signs, how are we going to tell them to go somewhere? Right. We belong here. Go ahead, man.
Is it that the Catholic priests are agitating them, or is it that a sign? Meaning that that the person, that he prayed or whatever, and it's a sign that that demon is reacting to that person. And so now it's getting people to believe in it more so.
Let me tell you this. For the exorcists, that's a great point. They borrowed 2 real Catholic priests, that the ones you see in that wicked movie, The Exorcist. They borrowed 2 Catholic priests to do that part. Those were real priests. Come on, man. In a wicked movie like that. So what they were doing, thank you, Toda, for that, was they were trying to say the Catholics are the only authority of power that can handle demons. Matter of fact, I talked to a girl at work. She said her mom was doing some occult stuff, and it was stuff moving, stuff in the house, throwing stuff, faucets coming on, all kind of foolishness. They went and got a Catholic priest to pray over the house. See what I'm saying? And nothing stops. Lady Gaga paid $60,000. Did she have a certain person to come in her hotel and clear spirits out of a hotel when she got the demons in them? Right. You bring in the spirits to every hotel.
She just want hug.
Come on, man. Yeah, she just want hug.
She's trying to probably paying them to get Yahuwah.
Man, brother. But he ain't there anyway, because you walking in, especially with that Gideon Bible in the drawer. But my point is this: the spirits that we see attacking these people, only Yahusha can cast that out. Only Yahuwah God. Don't say I rebuke you. You know, this is stuff that we trying to teach you, because you when you say I rebuke, that means you have an authority over that fallen. You can't command angels. I want to make that clear, because Christian church taught us that we could tell angels go get our money. I used to do that. We used to pray with that dude, Bill Winston. He related to me. I found it out. I got a dog here. I had to cancel all kinds of signs. Anyway, Bill Winston taught that you could conjure angels and say, angels, go get my money and bring it back. I had a pastor that was in Gaston, I was friends with at the time, told me he had sent an angel out to go get some money, and they dropped 4 G's on his bed. But I found out also that pastor is in a lot of occult stuff. The church is a well. You can Google it yourself. But anyway, he was in a lot of occult workings. And he told me that angels, 2 big angels, flew down in front of his bed and dropped 4 stacks on the bed.
Just 4? Them 2 big angels?
Yeah, that's all they could bring. But I mean, he said they brought the money so that he could pay for the building for his church.
I would have said just 4 though.
Yeah. You know, that's what I'm saying. Jesse Plantis teach that, you know, he asked for $5 million from an angel, and the angel bought him $5 million, but his brother in the belief got $50 million. He said, well, why he get $50 million? He said, you only asked for 5. See, these things are really happening, but you can't control angels like that. Satan is doing that to keep them entertained, so they won't find the truth, because true people in righteousness are not supposed to command angels. You're not supposed to tell them to do nothing. He says he will give his angels charge over you. That's Psalms 91. That's actually the exact verse that Hashatan quoted to Yahusha.
Teach.
Throw yourself off. Kill yourself. Cast yourself down from this place. And he shall give his angels charge over you, that you won't dash your feet on stone. But right after that, it says, and you shall tread on the young lion and the adder. It was a victory. But he didn't want to talk about that part. He only wanted to give a deception. You are not supposed to command angels. Cindy Trim, that's why we put on blast. You are not supposed to command demons and angels. She has summoned up the spirit of Paul and Peter before. I've heard it in the prayer. That's, man, what?
That was their prayer.
That prayer they were playing. She was conjuring Peter and Paul's spirit and everything.
There was a bunch of other folks.
This is what we preparing you to walk in this truth. Told her for riding with us, but look at them scriptures. 2 Chronicles 20, Yahuwah fights for him. Joshua 88, Yahusha, Joshua 6, 17 through 18, Joshua 7, and Luke 14, 25 through 34. You got to look at them, and please study them in your time to see that Yahuwah fights for us when we're righteous, and he stays back and lets us be defeated when we walk in error. That's his balance, like we talk about. And it says, here we go. 7. This is Ephesians 6 and 7. With goodwill doing service as to Yahweh and not to men, knowing whatsoever good thing any man does, the same he will receive of Yahweh, whether he be bond or free. Now, what do we see that? Hagar, it means the stranger. She was a bond woman, but he gave her a barakah of her 12 sons to be princes too. So he gives barakah of blessings to people, whether they're bond or free. That's what Paul's talking about. She was a bondwoman and crying for her son in her situation when she was cast out, and he still gave her a blessing because she kept Torah. If you read Jasher, Sarah taught her Torah when she came from Mizraim. She learned the Torah and taught it to Ishmael. That's book. So he gave her a blessing. She was no longer Hagar, the stranger to Yahuwah. Right. That's what Gar means. That's why if you in the context you'll see that Moshe named his first son Garsham, for he was named a stranger in his name. Garsham, stranger's name, for he was a stranger in the land of Yahuwah. See that? Yeah. Look at the context, man. It's that word, that Gar, it means stranger. So In context, whether you bond or free, he still hears you. Whether you are in captivity or not, you are still there. We're going to finish this and I'm done. And ye masters. Now, he didn't just bring it to the servants. There's a balance. And you masters, do the same things unto them. Same for both of y'all. Forbearing threatening. Don't threaten him. Knowing that your master also is in the Shemayim. Neither is there respects of persons with him. He don't care if you're a master or a servant. Don't you threaten him, because if you threaten him, what you just did, threaten a brother, like we just talked about earlier. You threaten a brother. Man, bro.
You're supposed to love him.
Exactly. Finally, brethren, be strong in Yahweh and in the power of his might. Not by power, not by might, but by his spirit, says Yahuwah. We're supposed to trust in him. Put on the whole armor of Yah, the whole armor, that you may be able to stand against what? The wiles of the devil. Man, for we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities. Pay attention to that. Principalities is like what the Queen of England is. It's rulerships. So you got different rulerships of devils on every coast. That's why you got so many things like Bohemian Grove, the Burning Man. Man, they got a new thing called Coachella that Beyonce and all them celebrate. That's devil worship. That's devil worship. One lady said she left one of those events and she woke up. She blacked out. She woke up in a jail cell. And the police, she asked, why am I arrested? She started screaming, why am I arrested? They said, you were putting witch writings all down the streets of the city that they had the event in. She said she had never dealt with a witchcraft book ever in her life. But she was automatic writing witchcraft because she left that event and something entered her. And they said you were putting all these occult symbols to face and everything. See, it's principalities. Man, Coachella is huge. Huge. They don't even need rock stars no more. They just get like R&B and new age singers now. It's so big they don't even need that rock and roll that worship Satan. They so big now with that Satan worship. It's huge. Burning Man is too, and it's doctors and judges and lawyers and stuff that go to Burning Man. And that's where that movie Wicker Man comes from. That Burning Man, they would take that thing and put goats and humans and everything in that thing and burn it. It was a man actually sacrificed himself at the last Burning Man, threw himself in the flame. He said he had told people he was going to do it when he got there. Where was the security? They wanted that man to be sacrificed to Hashatan.
Where does this take place? Burning
Man happens in Nevada. I believe it's in Nevada. The Burning Man. Coachella, I think it travels. Okay. I think it started in France or something.
On that movie Wicker Man, they had like a big Wicker Man on their cover.
That was Nicolas Cage also too, whose son is a high Satanist. Him too. Yeah, he a high Satanist too. That's why he did the Sorcerer's Apprentice. These actors ain't nothing but Satanists. They ain't nothing but devil worshipers. So all they doing is projecting their movies out to people. Will Smith is like the same way. He projects these movies to people to give them to follow. So he says we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities. He's talking about the devils, the powers. There's different powers against rulers of darkness of this age or this world. These rulers of darkness are different deities. At some point, I'm going to tell my testimony of why I stopped playing Fortnite. It's probably going to be only 5 minutes long, but I stopped playing Fortnite. People who know me at work know I love Fortnite. I used to love that game, man. I love to bring heat to folks because I seen it as a virtual laser tag. I seen it as a virtual laser because when you shot somebody, blood wasn't everywhere. They didn't die. They just, They revamped or went to another place, had to wait, then they come back. It was like laser tag. They had different, and when I first started, they had like wingman suits and desert suits and all that. But in the midst of playing it, to make it short, baby, because I know you over there saying something. In the midst of playing it, Yahuwah showed me in the game. It get darker as it progressed, but I'll share the story later. But it was a globe. It was a crystal ball, and you shake it. And when you shake it, you and your team would transport somewhere else. And I was in the midst of sleeping, and Yahuwah showed it to me in my face. It was shaking. He woke me up. He said, Yahshay. I said, yes, I'm listening. And he said, what's the difference between that and witchcraft? I said, there's none. He said, stop it. Corrected me just like that. Because it started progressively getting dark, and it became darker later. But I'm going to share the full story later on of how progressively dark it got. But I stopped playing Fortnite for that reason, because it became so dark. but Yahuwah was offended just by that rift. It was called a rift jump, a rift to go, total. And Yahuwah was offended by that because he said, what's the difference of a crystal ball now? Because in my mind, I'm playing laser tag. So if in my mind, I'm playing laser tag, in his mind, they playing witchcraft in the laser tag. So, man, I mean, he's concerned about every aspect of our life. That's what I'm saying. Barak Yahuwah for the correction. Because he could have just let me be in error. And it says, against spiritual wickedness in high places. Those high places, those exalted places, those high places that we talk about is in government places. It's not just high places like mountains. Why the devil gonna just stand on the mountain? Ain't nobody gonna be up there. Right. I mean, context, people. You know what I'm saying? But the high places are places of authority. Those are places where rulership happens. We have these 7 ascended masters. We have people who are over Trump. It's devils that run them. They go worship them. This is not a game. That's why these connections they make around the world is based on what devils they serve. You get what I'm saying? Why do you think the ISIS, they got to wage war and attack on so hard? It's from the United States. And it's garbage. Anyway, that whole story is like. But anyway, wherefore takes you the whole arm of Yah, that you may be able to withstand in the evil day. What evil day? The day of judgment. That day of judgment is going to be evil to them, but great for us. Matter of fact, in the book of Enoch, it says it is a day of reward for us and a day of judgment for them. Right. That day is, oh man, it's going to be awful. Yeah. It's going to be hell, wind, frost, everything attacking at the same time. Having done all to stand. That's endurance, the same thing the Mashiach said here. Stand therefore, having your loins girded with truth. That's actually in the Torah. This belt girded with truth. This is all in the Torah. It's not nothing he made up. Having the breastplate of righteousness. Having your feet shod with the preparation of the basura of peace. That means the good news of peace, of shalom. Your feet are shod with preparing the good news of shalom to people, to move with it. Above all, taking the shield of belief, wherewith you shall be able to quench all fiery darts of the wicked. All fiery darts are quenched in your belief of Yahuwah. You want to know why you're still under attack? You don't believe in it. You don't trust them enough to get you out of it. You run into other people. You run into. That's why the first thing people do when they're under witchcraft attack is to find a witchcraft. So find somebody doing witchcraft or a witchcraft worker to get rid of that. Right. It was a girl. She asked. Her mom kept getting beat by this man, and she would never leave this man. She said she went to another witch, and the witch told her that the man had her mom's underwear buried in the yard, and that's why she would never leave. She had to dig up them underwear and burn them. And she said after her mama left that man, but that created more witchcraft in her life. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? That creates more witchcraft. You can't fight Hashatan with Hashatan. And so it says, above all, taking the shield of belief, where you shall be able to quench the fiery darts of the wicked. Take the helmet of Yahusha, or the helmet of salvation. Why is that the helmet? Your mind must be covered for warfare. And the sword of the Ruh. What's the sword? The word. The sword of the spirit, because the word is spirit, which is the word of Yahuwah. He never spoke against Torah because there was no New Testament written at this time. What is he directing people to? Come on, man. So, this is one of the greatest ones I always use, man, and try to do this. Praying always. You can't be prayed up. Prayed up means there's a limit to it. There's a maximum to it. You can actually reach a certain point, like filling up your gas tank. You can't get prayed up. Praying always. Continually in prayer. With all prayer and supplication in the Ruh. Watching therefore unto all perseverance and supplication for all Kadashim, all called out ones of Yahuwah. We're supposed to be in prayer and in fasting all the time for all those who believe in Yahuwah around the world that we know, that we communicate with on Facebook or whatever. If they're walking in the truth, we should be always in prayer and supplication for them, because they're going to be under attack too. You know, I'm about done. And for me, the utterance may be given, and for me, that utterance may be given to me, that I may open my mouth boldly and make known the mystery of the Basora, of the good news, for which I am an ambassador in bonds, but therein I may speak boldly, as I ought to speak, but that you also may know my affairs and how I do. Tychicus, a beloved brother and a loyal minister in Yahuwah, shall make known to you all things. He's finna tell him all the affairs and everything he dealing with while he is in bondage right now, because he's writing these letters. He gonna bring this information to him, whom I have sent to you for the same purpose, that you might know our affairs, that he may comfort your hearts. Shalom be to the Akim, and love in Amunah, or belief, from Yahuwah the Father and Adonai Yahusha Hamashiach. Hasad, loving kindness be with you all. Then all them that love our Adonai Yahusha Hamashiach in sincerity. Amen. So the letters that he was writing, and that's that scripture about the marriage feast. I'll get that. I'll put it in the thing about in the book. But the reason why he was writing this, he was trying to tell them to gird up for warfare. The warfare that we're gonna face is gonna be greater. We ain't seen nothing yet. This is still we still got a certain kind of freedom here in America to do what we do now. But at some point they're gonna stop all this, just like we seen in Daniel, in the book of Daniel. They didn't have the freedom to pray. But watch his boldness. When he told them to stop praying to Yahuwah or stop praying to their mighty one, he did it in the window. He did it in the window to make sure they sin. When are we going to be bold enough to stand for Yahuwah like that? You get what I'm saying? When are we going to have the strength to really walk in that truth and say, this is what we've been called to do? And whether we die, whether we're tortured, we're going to walk in this truth. Because that's what we talk about, and we're going to look at that later on. The bulls of Bashan that encompassed Yahusha were demons. Those were from Og of Bashan. Many bulls of Bashan that encompassed me. That's a prophecy in Psalm 22 about demons surrounding him while he was being executed on that tree. Demons want you dead too. It ain't just people. We look at people and think that's the only enemy we got. But these things are traveling at the speed of light, listening to our conversations, listening to your prayers and trying to stop them. How I know? Because Daniel fasted 21 days. We see that. And it says Michael came to him. Michael, he came to him. And he said, I heard, Yahuwah says he heard you the first day, but the prince of Persia withheld me from helping you. So that means a demon, a regent, a principality was standing hearing Daniel petition Yahuwah. For 21 days, he was holding his ground so that Daniel couldn't get the message from Yahuwah. Come on, man. So when you pray to Yahuwah, it may not be that he ain't heard you. It may be something restraining it. Pray against hindering spirits. Now it's time. We expose witches all the time. Now it's time to show you how to fight. Right. Not just expose witchcraft, expose the enemy. Now it's time to show you how to put them dukes up.
And make sure that one of them hindering spirits ain't you.
Right. There you go.
That's the first thing you need to do.
There you go. Make sure that one of them hindering spirits ain't you. And all doctrine you may believe, or even in yourself that you don't want to keep the Torah all the way. Right. It don't take all that. Because there's some people who say they walking in the Torah and Yahuwah, they ain't even keeping the Shabbat. They ain't keeping the feast days. They don't want to do all that stuff. Right. They just want to say they keep the Torah. They say they Hebrew. They say they believe. But yeah, make sure that that's not you. Evaluate yourself first. And after you've evaluated yourself and it shows you, and Yahuwah has shown you that you are truly walking Kadash, then begin to ask about hindering spirits. I have things in my mirror and I pray against voodoo, hoodoo, Santeria, juju, object links, palamumbaya, all occult magic, workings, everything of darkness, whispers against of Hashatan, whispers of people who serve him. You gotta begin lucid to write dreams. Down lucid dreams, astral projection. Begin to write these things down. Write the vision and make it plain. Begin to write down the warfare you want to write. There's no Torah against writing down your palal to Yahuwah. Right. Write down your petition. I'm gonna show you, because in the book of Hanuk, he was writing down a petition for the fallen to Yahuwah and fell asleep. He was writing it. So there's no Torah against writing a petition to Yahuwah. You can write down your prayers and pray them constantly. He said vain repetition is what he hates. Vain repetition is this. JC. That's vain repetition. tarrying. But when you pray to Yahuwah, you write to him and you tell him what you need done and how you need to walk, he is there to protect you. Torah for all who watch. Shalom to the 12 tribes of Yasharal scattered abroad. We appreciate you. Would you please pray us out and pray a prayer over the new believers and the Kedishim around the world who may be fighting a warfare, a war in a war, and they need to learn to fight the good fight of belief.
Abba Yahuwah and Master Yahusha's name, we come to you in Palah. Toda for allowing us to partake in this sign between you and us. This great day, this great Shabbayun, this day of rest, this day of Shalamah. Toda for allowing us to intake your word, the true bread that came down from the Shemin. Toda for allowing us to feast on this day and relax in fellowship. We all ask as one body and one mind in Yahusha, that the brothers and sisters that have come into this walk endure unto the end, and that they be able to stand in that day before you and bow boldly as obedient sons and daughters. We pray, Abba Yahuwah, that they are not delivered into temptation. We pray, Abba Yahuwah, that all principalities and evil ruach are not able to come with any trickery to make them fall from this walk that they have come into. We pray for their strength, for the hukmah, for the understanding, and for prosperity in your word, and for just great understanding and life for them, Abba Yahuwah. We pray for fellowship within the mishpachah amongst ourselves. We pray for friendship, for love amongst ourselves, Abba Yahuwah. We pray for all the mishpachah around the world. We pray for their children, for the protection for everyone's child, Abba Yahuwah, that they get close to you and begin to love you, Abba Yahuwah, and begin to fear you, Abba Yahuwah. We pray for our children that they are protected, whether they're at home or away, Abba Yahuwah. We pray greatly and ask you in all meekness and humbleness to guard our children, Abba Yahuwah. We pray for our sisters, our wives, our brothers, all of your children, Abba Yahuwah. We ask you to help us and to guide us, for we are nothing without you. We are less than nothing, and we really need you. Total for allowing us to be your children. And in Master Yahusha's name, we belong. Amen.
Before we close out, pray for Akoti Tresalong. She said pray for her and her daughter and her health. She said the doctor wants her to have surgery, and she needs our prayer. So you pray for Akoti Tresalong too. Add her to that prayer.
Abba Yahuwah, in Master Yahusha's name, we come to you once more.
Yes, sir.
We ask you to hear us as one, Abba Yahuwah. We pray for our sister Tresalon and her daughter.
Yes.
They need you, Abba Yahuwah. And we sincerely ask that you heal her, just as you did in the days of old and in the days of present and in the days of the future. For things do not change with you, for you're not a man and you will not change. And we are asking in all boldness as children to heal our sister and her daughter. Please, Abba Yahuwah, could you get rid of any pain, any in her body, in their mind, anything to come in the future within her and her daughter. Could you give them life in your book, in your word, and in their body? Please heal our sister and her daughter. And in Master Yahusha's name, we belong. Amen.
Shalom, my father.